Hey everybody. We'll give everyone a second here to trickle in, then we'll get started. And while everyone's getting loaded in, the chat is open, so feel free to drop in there where you're tuning in from, and we'll give everyone here just another second, and then we'll get started on chatting about how to best use BusyBusy free. And again, we're just giving everybody a second here to get on the webinar. While we're waiting, feel free to chat in where you're tuning in from, and we'll get started here in just another second. Awesome. Okay, looks like we're ready to get going. So excited to chat with everybody today on how to best use the BusyBusy free app. And we'll go ahead and we'll try and keep this quick, try and keep it to about 30 minutes. And yeah, so excited to jump in and start having this conversation. Before we do, I'm just curious, so if everyone in the chat can drop in, what are you doing right now for time tracking? Awesome, we got Brian from New Mexico here. What's everyone doing for time tracking? Drop in. Are you guys using paper time cards? Are you using spreadsheets? Are you using BusyBusy? Are you using some other system? If you want to go ahead and just chat in there, what's everybody doing for time tracking now? Okay, we got some paper time cards. Awesome. What else is everybody using? Paychecks. We got some BusyBusy users. Awesome. So Go Forms, paper. Got it. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we're excited to check out or walk you guys through BusyBusy, help you get off that paper time card. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. And we good? Everybody see that? Bracken, are we good there?
Yep, it looks good, Ryan. And
awesome.
Yep, looks good. And guys, we want this to be interactive. So if you have questions along the way, please throw them in the chat or the Q&A. And if I see them pop up, then we'll interrupt Ryan and get him to answer them for you.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate that, Bracken. Okay, so here is on my front screen here, this is our BusyBusy app. So what I wanted to start with, and actually before I do, Tammy, that's a great question. This is being recorded and we will send this recording to you after. So feel free, like you can take notes if you want, but also don't stress about it. We'll shoot you an email with this recording here in the next couple of days. And so as I'm getting into the app, this is what everyone's going to use to track their time. So whether if you're an owner operator, so you're out in the field while you're also an admin, still going to look the same, or if it's just a general employee, this is what the app's going to look like for them. I'm going to go ahead and hit the clock in button. When I hit clock in, this is where companies can kind of get customized on how they want to run things. So we have most companies are wanting to do job costing, and even really quick in the chat, is everybody doing job costing? And even just say like a yes, no. So we have an idea there. Is everyone job costing currently, or is it something that you're trying to implement? What's that look like? Okay, so we've got some yeses, some not yets, which again, yeah, it's stuff we hear all the time. So the advantage with BusyBusy is it makes it really easy to get that job costing information. And we made it customizable so that it's going to fit your business. We have some companies that want to track time to the project here, and I've got this required, and it's going to see my nearby jobs, my current jobs, and I'll just go ahead and select this BusyBusy renovation. And then we have companies that even want to be more granular than the job. They want to track cost codes. So they want to track the actual tasks that employees are doing, whether that's, if we're a concrete company and I'm going to want my guys to track, how much are they tying rebar? Are they actively pouring? Are they prepping? What are they doing? And so the cost code is what's going to allow the employee to select the actual task they're working on. And then last thing here, I'm going to ask in the chat is for a minute is anyone tracking or using heavy equipment? We have any like excavation companies or people who are wanting to track hours spent on pieces of equipment? Okay, we've got a couple. Awesome. So I will just show this then really quickly. So let's say my task I'm doing, let's say I'm doing some excavation work, and then I want to select, let's say I'm using this Bobcat. I can go ahead and hit done here. And I can mix that up too, right? Like I can just track time to the job and equipment. I can just track time to the job. So whatever you're doing as a company, we can turn everything else off. So if you're just wanting your employees to track time to a job, great. That's what they're going to see. That's what they're going to do. And now I'm clocked in. So as an employee, I put my phone away and I go to work. One thing you're going to notice is that we've made it as simple as possible, or we've made it intentionally simple. So BusyBusy, we come from the construction space. Our founder and CEO actually ran his own excavation company, is still a part of that today. So he understood that if it's not easy, you're not going to get good data. So try to just make that as simple as possible. So now that I'm clocked in, I can go on break. I can add notes or descriptions of what's going on for the day, as well as I can switch. So let's say, again, just to try and give another idea here, I'm just a company that wants to track time to the job. So I can go ahead and switch and say, okay, we're just tracking time to the job. Our employees don't see cost codes. They don't see equipment. So I'm just going to hit project, hit done, and that's it. I went ahead and switched. Top timer is my timer on the current item, and the bottom timer is my total time for the day. So yeah, just to give you guys an idea there of what that's going to look like. And another thing to note is when I hit switch, you're going to see my GPS pull up. And so you do have the ability to view GPS of employees on the free when they clock in and when they clock out. So that's an optional opt-in feature, so employees can decide if they want to have that turned on or turned off. Whereas with our pro product and premium product, that is something that you can require for employees. Then I'll go ahead and punch the clock out here, and that's it. So pretty easy for the employees to use. Other thing to note here is I'm able to view my time card. So as an employee, I do have visibility to my time card. I can come on in and look at that, as well as if I go to, let's say last week, we have a lot of companies that like having their employees signing those time cards. So making it, a lot of companies use it as like a liability protection. So it's making it so that the employee is verifying their time, signing it, so that way 2 weeks down the road after you've done payroll, you don't have a disagreement or confusion with employees based on what they were paid. So to pause there, in the chat, do we have any questions that have come up so far? Are we good to move on to the dashboard? Brian answers yes. You can change the time card week. So in our setup, and I'll even show it in the settings, but when you set up your BusyBusy account, you're able to set up your pay period. So whether that's Sunday to Sunday, whatever that looks like.
And Ryan, we had another question come in earlier through the Q&A asking if all of my employees don't have phones, how do I use BusyBusy? It's a great question.
Yeah, it is. And so we do have the ability for a supervisor, like a foreman, to track time for a crew. And the way that they do that is rather than doing what I just did, where I was clocking myself in and out, a supervisor would do it for them, and they would do the same thing, only they'd be tracking time for a crew. One thing to note is that is on the pro package, and you know what, we can even drop in, Bracken, if you want to drop in like a demo link. So for anybody that does want to check out the pro features, we can show that to you, because it's super easy for supervisors to track time for the crew as well. Rachel, what's the best way for employees to indicate foreman? I'm not sure if I'm quite following what your question is. If it's trying to track or have employees track time or foreman track time, we can do that. And then the other thing maybe you're asking is we have the ability for you to dictate positions. So yeah, so with that is you can dictate like who's in positions. You can say who's an employee, who's a foreman, and so that way you're able to give different rights or abilities in the app for different employees. So a foreman might have the ability to track time for a crew or edit time, whereas a standard employee, you may not want to have them with those abilities. Hopefully I'm answering that for you. So to jump over to the web version, so it's just, you can access this anywhere. It's busybusy.io. And the cool thing here, and actually I'll go ahead and I'll clock back in just to show what this looks like when you have people actively clocked in. And so I'll just hit refresh on that. So I can even see I've got one person clocked in, 2 people clocked out. So I can even click on that and just see, okay, so Ryan's the one that's clocked in. And if I want to pull up that GPS of where he is, I can see here's where I've been clocking in, clocking out. I'm just here at our busy office. And then on our dashboard, you have a number of cards that are just going to tell you like this, how many hours have been worked for the pay period versus the last, total cost for the pay or for the employees, all of that. And then the time card section, this is where you're going to be able to see all of your time card data. And so the ability to come in here and just view a summary and see, for this week, this pay period, everyone's worked 22 hours, great. If I want to go back and look at last week's, I can see everyone worked 40 hours. The way I had overtime set up, but I can show that in the settings here at the end. I was doing anything over 8 hours was overtime. So we've even got some overtime for one of the days we worked longer than 8 hours. And then I can even continue to break this down and view what's going on for each employee, what jobs they worked on, any notes or descriptions that were left. And even if you ever have employees, because we have a lot of companies that sometimes they're on a job for multiple days, sometimes they're on multiple jobs per day. So right here, I can see on Friday that Bracken was at the 2435th East job for half the day, and then she had to move over to the Bluff Street job. And then I can go through and make sure everyone's signed their time card, makes that really easy there. And then moving to the project here, I'm able to see again, like what's clocked in, what's clocked out. And to show just some of the GPS features with the free version is I can add a GPS location. So here's my GPS location. I can make that bigger, smaller, move it around, whatever I need to do. And then with that GPS location, I can turn reminders on. And this is typically a really big deal for companies, especially a lot of you guys mentioned you're using paper time cards. A big concern usually for companies is, are my employees going to remember to clock in and clock out using an app? So if you set up that GPS geofence and you turn the reminders on, you're going to be able to have the employees as they drive in and out of that job, it's going to remind them to clock in and remind them to clock out when they leave that geofence. So it makes it really easy for the employees. It gets that muscle memory going for them. And that way you're going to be able to BusyBusy or whatever time tracking app you decide to go with. Awesome. We do have a couple of equipment owners. So with the equipment, I'm able to just come in here and see what's going on with my equipment. So GPS, and this is based on the employee's phone. So we're not tracking the actual asset. We're tracking the use of the asset through the employee's phone. So I can see when it was last used. Ryan used it at this job, and I was using it for the cost code of excavation. I can see hour meter as well as when it was last used. And then just continue to go through this. I can even view the map. So I'm not using any equipment right now, so it's not going to show any equipment, but I can see that Ryan's working at the BusyBusy renovation job right now. So at a glance, you can see where your employees are at, what job they're on, where are they at, and just get a good idea of what's going on there. And then looked like we had a couple of questions, just to pause on that. So Kate, yeah, the switch is when they leave that job site, it's going to say, hey, it looks like you're leaving like the BusyBusy renovation job site. Would you like to clock out or would you like to switch to the next job? So it is going to help them if they're running multiple jobs a day. It is going to help them make sure that they're switching from job to job correctly.
And sorry, Ryan,
Now, go
one
ahead.
thing to note there too, Kate, because I understood your question differently than Ryan. So I was thinking if you want to remind your employees where they're supposed to be throughout the day, like, hey, you're only supposed to be at job A for 4 hours and then you're supposed to go to job B, reminders can be set up using our scheduling tool in our pro feature to say how long you want employees at each location during the day.
Yeah, and that's a good clarification there. So if that is what you're looking for, we can get that done as well. Awesome. Okay, so activity reports. So this is where you're going to be able to come in and see how much time you're spending on each job per week. And with that, as a construction company, the biggest variable cost you have on every job is going to be this. It's going to be your labor. And so being able to just at a glance see what's going on each job, how many hours you've spent, the hours or labor costs per job, is a really, really big deal. And so with that, looking at my week, I can see that we've been working on this BusyBusy renovation job. And I can go ahead and even click into it and see, okay, here's me and the crew that has worked on this. And then when you set up your employees in BusyBusy, and I'll show this in a minute, you have the ability to put an hourly rate as well as even a labor burden. So you're at a glance able to see for this job, we spent 67 hours here and it's cost us almost $2,000 to be here. So at a glance, I can just see and make sure that we're on schedule, we're doing what we need to. And then I can even break this down. Let's say we are using cost codes, for example, like we're tracking time to the tasks we're doing. Well, then I can see here, great, like we've spent 44 hours doing drywall, for example, and then 22 hours doing the electrical. Then I can even break that down further to see, okay, and who is you doing each of those codes. And same thing for our equipment owners, I can see, what equipment was used. So it looks like we didn't use any equipment on this job, but at a glance, I can see what we used and make sure that we're billing hourly for all of that equipment if that's how we're set up. Awesome. And then to go ahead and jump into some management lists. This is where you're going to set everything up in BusyBusy for like employees, projects, cost codes if you're doing those, equipment if you're using equipment. So for my employees, I'm able to set up the employee, and all I have to do is put in their name. As an admin or owner, I set up their username, I set up their passwords, I am able to manage all of that. I set up their position. So, if this is a supervisor, they're going to have supervisor rights. And then the only thing I need to do is add in a cell phone number. So they don't have to have an email to have an account. It'll text them a link to download the app. You let them know what their username and password is, and then they're in the app and they're ready to go. And then same thing with projects, easily going to create that project. You can add in company information, address information. Here's where you add that GPS information for the reminders, and you're ready to go. And cost code equipment, same thing. You're just going to be able to create those in a couple of clicks. Moving into just company, or now just BusyBusy settings. So the company settings, in the timekeeping, I mentioned this already, but on this demo account, I set it up so that the project was required. So assuming I'm a company where I just want us to track time to the project, but I want that to be required. I don't want the employees to be able to just skip it. I'm able to make that required. That way employees do have to check that box. And then also I can turn this, cost coding off, equipment off if I need to, or have these on. Another thing here is the project scoping. So if you're a company that's aggressively using cost codes, like you've got a list of 20 or so cost codes that you're having employees select from, you can actually scope, like if you have 5 cost codes that are going to be used on a certain job, you can scope those 5 cost codes to the job. So the employee is only going to see those 5 cost codes, not the entire list of 20. So it just makes it easier, again, for the employee to easily select the correct cost code. And that way you're going to limit error, and as well as like the thing we see with employees in BusyBusy is or even just mobile time tracking in general, is if it takes longer than like 5 or 10 seconds, they're probably just going to move on. And so that again is just everything's geared to making that as easy as possible for the employee. You can set up time rounding. I set this one up for nearest 5 minutes. And then let's see, so you can set up your pay period here. I know there was a question on that earlier. So I can go, set up, is it every Monday? Is it Sunday to Sunday? As well as overtime. Like I mentioned on this one, I've set it up for anything over 8 hours. As well as then positions is the last big thing here. And go ahead,
And
Bracken.
Ryan, with the positions, I think that this is where we're going to be able to answer Veronica's question. It could also fall into scheduling, but she's asking, can an employee have access to view where other team members are for the day?
Got it. So the answer is yes. If you have them set up as it's all permissions based through this position. So for example, like this supervisor can view reports, it can view and manage time for other people. And so with that, their rights and privileges are going to be different. And so as long as you set that up so that the foreman that you want being able to see that is turned on, then they're going to be able to view where people are at, what they're doing. Even from a map view, they're going to be able to see like what's going on. So it's really easy to set that up. And even just
And
to show from
yeah,
my
and to note
phone.
on that, if you're wanting to see as far as like what employees are working together that day,
Mhm.
through our scheduling feature as well, you can schedule a crew and then the crew can see who they're working with that day to help ride together and so on and so forth. So a different answer to the question depending on what way you were looking.
Got it. Awesome. Okay. Uh, and even just to show this, even from the phone, I can view that map view. So if I have the ability, or if I'm a foreman or something in the app, I can even see like who's working. So I can see that, okay, Ryan's working at the busy renovation job from my phone. Awesome. So looking at this, I mean, I think that gets us pretty well covered in terms of how employees are going to be using the app, as well as the back end of how you're able to view everything from a payroll standpoint, as well as from just a project reporting standpoint. I did see a question, can you view the web version on the phone? And you can see a lot of like the reports on the phone, on the app. But if you actually want to look at the dashboard, like go to busybusy.io, you're definitely better off looking at it on a tablet or on a computer. Awesome.
Couple of other questions that have popped in. So Ryan, if you feel like this is a good time, because I think we covered everything pretty well, we can use the last 7 minutes for questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we have some good ones. So one being, how can we edit hours if an employee forgets to clock in/out?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to do it. You can even do it from the phone. So like a supervisor, if you're okay with a supervisor editing time, they can track that and edit it in the app. But from the time card section, and I can look at this summary and just see total hours. So let's say I realize like, hey, Bracken was like, there's something wrong with her time. I can even just view it from here, or I can just continue to break this down. So if I want to see like everyone's individual time entries, here's Bracken's individual time entries for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I can go ahead and just click on this anywhere and I can adjust this. So let's say, she actually ended at 2, she forgot to clock out. I can adjust that for her as an admin, and I'm going to be able to just update that there.
Awesome. Another couple of questions have come through about exporting data. Can you export data from BusyBusy into our accounting platform? Another question with that is, can this integrate with QuickBooks?
Yeah, both really good questions. So the BusyBusy free app does not have the ability to export, but you do have the ability to export data from any of the paid plans. And then we do have a direct integration with QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online. With most accounting or payroll systems, we do have the ability to push data over. So again, yeah, pretty simple to do that. Especially like if you're on a paid plan, then you do have access to those direct integrations.
Awesome. Another question. This is a great question as well. Can we share this app with our accountant / payroll manager?
You can. Yep. We actually have a lot of companies that do that. And the way that they'll typically do it is they'll just give them access to their account info. So they'll just say, hey, great, you're my accountant. You're the one that's running my payroll, writing checks every week, however that's done. And they're able to just do that for you. So they can jump into the app, check out the time card information and get payroll done.
Awesome. Another great question. Let me scroll back up to it. Is how do you get costs? Do you have the ability to add rates? So multi-step question there.
Like rates for jobs or like hourly rates for define rates for me. I guess if there's a definition.
Yeah. Marlene, if you want to ask a question, ask again and give us some more info there, because we do have abilities to add different rates in certain spots. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. So we'll skip on to another question. What reports? Oh, sorry, she answered. Hourly rates for employees. Oh,
Okay,
she saw it later on, so we're good.
perfect. Yep. You can just add that employee's hourly wage and you're set.
Awesome. So another question, what reports would one use to enter time into a payroll system?
Yeah, and I don't have it on this one. So again, you would use like this summary here to see their total time for the pay period. To check, make sure everything's good, you would use the individual entries or the expanded view to just see their daily time. So my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for this week, here's my total time. So I could either just, make sure, and even if I go back to last week, I can see, here's Bracken's total time for the week. And then here's her summary showing like, or her signatures, like I know I'm good to pay her on the 21 hours that were worked on that day. On our paid version, we do have a payroll like module just right here below the time cards. And that does give you the ability to hit a button, it checks everything for you, and it does have that like the total hours and everything right there. It makes it really easy to, if you want to just manually enter it into your payroll system, it makes it really easy to do that.
Awesome. Okay, a couple more great questions. One, my employees don't have phone service very often. Can I still use BusyBusy?
Great question. We run into this a lot. We have companies who are doing like open pit mining or doing logging where they have employees that go into areas where there's no service for the whole day. And the app, it's native to their phone. And what that means is that it's going to work the same whether they're offline or if they have data or Wi-Fi. So they can still clock in, they can still clock out. We even on the pro version, we do have the ability for them to take photos and notes. They can still do all of that, and it's just going to store it on their phone until they get back into service, and then it will just automatically sync into BusyBusy.
Awesome. And that you actually started to answer another question that we have, which is I thought BusyBusy had photos. Our
Okay.
photos are really cool, by the way. Ryan can give you some more info there.
Yeah, and we have a lot of companies that'll use it like to track receipts, track it to a job, but most commonly it's tracking the progress on the job. It's taking a photo of before and after every day. And we've actually had some pretty crazy stories of companies where it saved them thousands of dollars in lawsuits because some GC or some client came after them and said, hey, here's something that happened on the job site and we think it was you, and they can take the photos from that job and send it over and say, actually, like, here's what we did, here's how we left the job site every day, and able to just protect themselves from liability that way.
Yeah, and they're time stamped, date stamped, and geo stamped, so there's no question of when and where the photo was taken. So definitely super helpful there. A couple more questions, so we'll try and keep it quick since I know we're getting close to 30 minutes. I've been using BusyBusy for much longer than a week, but my reports only show weekly activity.
That's, yeah, good clarification. So what you're talking about, I think, is this activity report. So, and you can even see here, it's only letting me view a week. So the time card reporting on the BusyBusy free app exists forever. So you're able to see all of your time card data, but the project data only exists for a week. So the way to make that so that you can go into the activity reports and view a job from 2 years ago is by using a paid version of BusyBusy. That way we're able to store all of that, store all the photos, all of that, and you're covered there. Marlene, is there PTO reporting? There actually is, and it's both on the free as well as on the paid versions. You can have employees view and request time off, and then you can view that here. And I'm not going to have any data here, but I can review time off requests. I can approve those, I can deny those, and I'll even just show super quick. So an employee can view or request time off from the app. They can request it off, request if it's paid or unpaid. So we do have the ability for them to do PTO.
Awesome. 2 more questions that I want to hit on before the end. And if we didn't get to your questions, we'll reach out to you guys and get them answered for you. One of them is tying on to the weekly report. If I upgrade to a paid BusyBusy plan, will I be able to see my past data?
You know, that's actually a really good question. I would have to double check with one of our product managers on that. I want to say,
I think you can.
I think it is. Yeah,
I'm
I
like
think
99% sure you can.
yeah, I think it does make it so you can go back and view your data, but we can double check that.
And then if you leave BusyBusy, what happens to your data and your photos?
Yeah, so you can export everything. So if you decide that something else makes more sense down the road, you can grab everything in BusyBusy, download it, pull it in into like a Dropbox or whatever you need to do. So all of your time card reporting, project reporting, photos and notes, you have the ability to mass export all of that out if you ever need to.
Or at least that's what we've been told, because nobody ever leaves BusyBusy. So
That's right.
awesome. Well, I appreciate our audience today. You guys were great. Lots of great questions. If you have questions that we weren't able to hit on today, we'll reach out to you. Or if you have interest in checking out versions of BusyBusy, let us know. I'll put this demo link in there again, but Ryan and I will reach out to you, and we're happy to help you guys out in any way.
Awesome. Okay. See you, everybody.